bees for the last 4 years, and I have a native bee yard and have been studying bees for a really long time. So I want to talk about something that I have discovered in the last 3.5 weeks. I don't know if you are familiar with bumblebees and their life cycle. There's a queen in the spring. She lays eggs. She collects pollen and nectar. She lays eggs, and the foragers start, and she stays inside. And there is a nest in my yard, and it was a really strong nest. So I was very hopeful that this nest, the queens in the male, she makes drones and she makes queens for next year. Around the middle to end of August through September, and then they die. And the only ones left are the founders queens that have mated with males, and they hibernate, they go into like diapause, and then emerge in the spring. So I was really hopeful because this was a really strong nest. However, about 3.5 weeks ago, I started seeing the founders queens emerging, and they have deformed wing virus. All of them. I have 40 queens and some of the drones in my freezer because I'm going to give them to Olivia's a scientist who's going to do some studies on it. The deformed wing virus are from mites, are from honeybees. They have determined that already. In Great Britain, they have been doing studies since 2004. And between 10 and 11% of the queens, the mated queens, are carriers of this virus. So this is what's happening. So my hive is basically dead, and it's kind of heartbreaking. So I have some pictures here. I also have two in a magnifying glass, and two of the queens. They have stumpy little wings, and they can't fly, of course. So I'm taking them and putting them in my freezer. Some of them have wings and they're sticking out sideways. They can kind of vibrate the wings, but they cannot get any loft. So they're also dead. So I want to encourage everyone, please, as beekeepers, we can treat our honeybees. If they have mites, deformed wing disease, we can treat honeybees. We cannot treat native bees, and it's not just bumblebees. We have no idea what other native bees, and we have 1,100 species of native bees in New Mexico. You can't treat them. So let's really think about being part of the solution here with the mite, with our honeybees and the mites and the syndromes that happen with the mites. So please, really test your bees and treat. And let's even start focusing more on, I don't know if you went to the conference, and Jose Villa was talking about getting more mite-resistant queens, and really let's start becoming part of the solution. So, let's see, what do I do?
I think the middle button.
Okay, so this is a queen. Her wing is sticking out sideways. Sometimes they don't even have here's all the deformed, see these are wings. These are wings, the little tiny stumpy things. And again, I have two over there with a magnifying glass and a light if you want to look at them. It's really sad. That's a wing sticking up. There's some more wings. So, did they come out of my yard? I don't know. I've been treating my bees for the last 2.5 years. But you know how far bumblebees travel, honeybees travel. It doesn't really matter where it came from, it's here. So, there's some more wings there.
Can you talk about how it spread?
It is spread, they're not sure. They're not sure if the honeybees, when they're foraging and collecting nectar, they're leaving some of their fluids on the blossom, and then the bumblebees are coming and picking it up. They're not sure. They have seen mites, varroa mites, on bumblebees. That's another possibility. They're not actually sure. Usually, and a lot of times the commercial bumblebee people, because bumblebees pollinate tomatoes and other like chili, eggplants, all of the nightshades, because they have to be buzz pollinated. Honeybees cannot buzz pollinate. So there are commercial bumblebee keepers, and they're feeding their bumblebees honey. And in that honey, it's not a good idea to feed any native bees or have open feeding, because we're going to spread stuff. And so they still haven't figured out exactly how it's spread, but it's here, and it has spread.
How long have they known?
They've known, in Great Britain, they knew since 2004. They've been doing studies, but they still don't know exactly how it's getting into that population. However, when people want to have bumblebees in the area, they introduce honeybees too, because when honeybees are present, the bumblebees come in also, and they forage on a lot of the same plants. So let's try to help the native bees as well as our honeybees. It's really important. Think about treating those honeybees and getting them through the winter, because I know some people say, well, I'm not going to treat, I'm not going to do anything, because if my honeybees die, I'll just get another package next year. Let's try to think about sustainability for our bees. So I will keep you updated if they do find out. Again, I have, and they're coming out every day, and the drones also. So, and I'm giving them to Olivia Carroll, who is a native bee scientist. She has a friend who's going to do some research and check these bees out and see if we can figure out how they have been introduced. So, there's another set. Now, she had 4 wings, but that one pair is sticking up, so she can't. They not only just flap, but they kind of like rotate their wings. So the honeybees, they can do this, but they can't get any loft because they cannot do this. It's like in their muscles or something. I've been taking videos of them. It's really hard to see. Okay.